A reading from the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus said, "If another member of the church sins against you, go and point out the fault when the two of you are alone. If the member listens to you, you have regained that one. But if you are not listened to, take one or two others along with you, so that every word may be confirmed by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If the member refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if the offender refuses to listen even to the church, let such a one be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. Truly, I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, truly, I tell you, if 2 of you agree on earth about anything you ask, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them." If you've been listening to these gospel readings the last few days, you'll realize that Jesus at this point in Matthew's gospel is talking about the ideal way in which his followers, the community of faith, the church, is meant to work when it works well. When it works well, it's a place where faithfully people can ask God and God will hear and act. But Jesus knows that it often doesn't work quite as well as that. And looking at the church 2,000 years onwards, fractured and divided, Jesus was wise to leave us some instructions about how to cope when things aren't going quite as smoothly. And that's what we're getting in the passage that I just read. That's what we're getting in Jesus' attempts to avoid falling out, to avoid schism, to avoid disunity. Have a proper conversation. Don't be shy about it. Don't brush it under the carpet. That won't work. And if you can't resolve the differences one-to-one, involve 2 or 3 others, involve the whole community, but try and keep the community together. And if that fails, says Jesus, then the one who is dissenting, let them be like a Gentile or a tax collector, which is a difficult phrase because I don't think we hear it in the way in which I believe Jesus meant it. It sounds as if he's saying, cast them out, get rid of them, they're an outsider, or they are an awful sinner, which is how we tend to understand the reference to tax collectors, collaborators with the Roman authorities, greedy people making a lot of money on the side, not nice people. But of course, what Jesus really means by saying, if these people put themselves outside the church by their choice, by their unrepentant choice, then they are the most enormous, significant, important, pastoral and missional opportunity. Jesus spends most of his time in the Gospels reaching out to those who are excluded. Matthew's Gospel is full of instances where Gentiles and those outside find themselves the subject of his attention, find themselves being gathered in. So when things get difficult with somebody, if they walk off, if there's a real division, if there's a real argument, don't write them off, Jesus is saying. Don't write them off. It only makes them all the more special. So make sure, if you have a disagreement with somebody, you do all in your power to bring them back to the fold, because in God's eyes, nothing could be more important. Amen.